This video is brought to you by Monarch. At Disney World, hidden costs are about as common as hidden Mickeys. Secret fees 90% of people pay without noticing, and sneaky expenses that can turn a $4,000 vacation into a $5,000 vacation or more. And the one cost that gets most people isn't a fee at all. This video covers 16 of those hidden costs, and by the end of this, you will have the strategies to plan smarter and easily save hundreds of dollars on your next vacation. And don't worry, I did the math so you don't have to. Let's start, ironically, with one of my go-to ways to save money at Disney World: third-party hotels. After all, if you compare the nightly rate to Disney hotels, it seems like a great deal. But these hotels can be lousy with hidden costs, like hidden cost number 1, resort fees, which covers things like amenities and activities. Touring Plans did an analysis of 60 Good Neighbor hotels, and 34 of them charge a fee, typically running $30 to $50 a night plus tax. As of 2025, hotels are now legally required to disclose this fee up front, but that quoted price doesn't include tax, which is around 12.5%. So a $50 resort fee is actually more than $56 with taxes that you pay every night for a pool and a fitness center. Now, some resort fees can cover valuable, unique amenities like the swan boats at the Swan and Dolphin, but sometimes the resort fee kind of feels like the hotel saying, "This resort fee helps our lobby have breathable oxygen." Whether you find the amenities worth it or not really depends on how much use you get out of them. But either way, it's a non-negotiable cost and something you can shop around because not all hotels have a resort fee. And that includes official Disney resorts. They do not have a resort fee for their amenities. Hidden cost number 2. It's extremely common for third-party hotels to have nightly parking fees. This only applies if you're driving to Disney World or if you have a rental car, but it adds up quick, because this ranges anywhere from $15 to $40 a day or more if you choose valet. And once again, there's an additional sales tax at 6.5%. Parking fees are very common, but they're not everywhere. Airbnbs or vacation homes typically don't have a parking fee. And if you're staying at an official Disney resort, hotel parking is included. Hidden cost number 3 applies if you're staying off-site: theme park parking, which is $35 per day for standard parking, $50 to $60 per day for preferred. But not everyone pays that parking fee. If someone in your party has an annual pass, standard parking is included. Or if you're staying at any Disney resort or the Swan, Dolphin, or Swan Reserve, theme park parking is also included. So when you're comparing staying off-site versus staying at a Disney hotel, you need to factor this in, because between resort fees, hotel parking, taxes, and theme park parking, you can be spending anywhere from $85 to $134 a night extra. Across 5 days, that's roughly $420 to $670. Now, staying at a third-party hotel can still be a great option financially, especially if you can spend or earn points. But if you don't have a car, there's a really expensive hidden cost of staying off-site. Hidden cost number 4. Third-party transportation costs you time. This is the first cost in this video that isn't money, but it won't be the last, because arguably your most valuable asset on vacation is your time. Many Good Neighbor hotels have theme park shuttles included, which is great, but they don't run as often as Disney's official buses, sometimes only once an hour. So if you miss that bus, that's an entire hour of your day gone, which is extremely expensive. For contrast, at Disney hotels, buses can come every 10 to 15 minutes, and many hotels have alternate transportation options like boats, the Skyliner, the monorail, or walking. So wherever you're staying, research what your transportation options are and how often they run. But there are lots of other costs of getting around Disney that you should absolutely budget for. Like number 5, airport transportation can cost $40 to $60 each way, with much more expensive options if you want to be luxe. Or number 6, if you get a rental car, that typically runs between $300 and $700 for a week, depending on what kind of vehicle you get. And if you're driving, you need to account for all the parking fees that apply, plus number 7, gas and tolls depending on your route. Hidden cost number 8. If you're using ride shares, be sure to budget for that. These typically cost $10 to $30 per trip, but remember, fares surge in peak times when everyone's heading to and from the parks. And if you need car seats, that adds about $10 per trip for Uber. Minivans, which serve Disney resorts and the parks, are quite a bit more expensive than typical lifts, around $40 to $70 per trip, but they do include car seats and have preferred drop-off locations. The next hidden cost of a Disney vacation is so sneaky, it can really blow out your budget. But you know what else can? The hidden costs of everyday life. So now's a great time to tell you about a tool I've been using to combat those hidden costs and budget for my next Disney vacation: Today's sponsor, Monarch. Monarch's a private, ad-free personal finance platform that pulls all your accounts, checking, credit cards, loans, investments, into one clean dashboard. That's why I love it. You see everything. My wife and I have a lot of credit cards, arguably way too many. But we get a lot of travel and airline points from them, and theme park perks too. The trade-off is that it's an absolute nightmare to keep track of what we're actually spending and knowing if we're saving towards our goals or if it just kind of feels like it. We were budgeting on the vibes for way too long, which is why Monarch is so useful and legitimately the tool I've been looking for to help with my personal finance situation for years. Instead of the trip budget half living in my head and half across 5 different banking apps, with Monarch, the whole number finally lives in one place. We want to go on a Disney cruise next year, so I set it up as a savings goal with a real timeline and my actual accounts so I can see exactly how close we are to being able to afford it instead of guessing. Monarch shows me everything my family spends, separating the fixed expenses from the flexible stuff broken down into categories. And because our accounts are linked, Bethany and I are looking at the same dashboard, the same goals, the same recurring bills, which means way fewer money surprises. And Monarch's AI features explain my spending to me in plain English, like how much I spent on food on my last Disney trip. I'm afraid to ask how much of that was beignets. Monarch syncs with over 13,000 institutions and works on web and mobile. So you can actually check what you're spending mid-trip and know when you've got room to splurge on that impulse buy. And to be clear, it's not a bank. It can't move your money, it just gives you the full picture. So if you want to start budgeting for your Disney vacations or anything else without the hidden cost surprises, you can try Monarch out with a free trial and get 50% off your first year by using the QR code on screen, or you can use the link in my description or use the code GUIDE50. My thanks to Monarch for sponsoring this video. And that's genuinely how I keep my spending and my trip budget from turning into a mystery. But there's no mystery about the next one. It's one of the easiest ways to overspend on your Disney World vacation. Food you won't eat. Hidden cost number 9. Disney dining has a hidden tax: the portion sizes. A lot of meals are huge, and you don't want to spend your vacation budget on food you end up throwing away. So there are a few ways to mitigate your costs. You can split your meals. You'd be surprised how many meals can actually feed 2 people. Plus, as a dad of young kids, I constantly make the mistake of ordering my kids each their own meal, and then they barely eat any of it. I need to have the kids can share one meal or eat off my plate tattooed onto me like the guy from Memento. And here's a secret almost no one knows. The menu always shows the meal bundled with a side, but you can just order the entree and forgo the side to save a few bucks. Or for smaller portions, you can do what a lot of adults do and order a kid's meal. At Connections, the kids' pizza is just 1 slice rather than 2, and it comes with a drink and a side. This saves you a few dollars. Now, when I've suggested this before, some people say it's against the rules because kids' meals are for ages 3 to 9. For quick service, I personally don't think this is an ethical concern. You're paying less money for a smaller portion. It's not like you're showing up to the character buffet in a spinner hat and oversized lollipop, trying to trick someone into thinking you're this many. Hidden cost number 10, drinks. Now, don't get me wrong. I love a Joffrey's cold brew or an avocado margarita. Those just make it feel like a Disney World vacation to me. But buying drinks can get pricey. $5 for non-alcoholic drinks and $8 to $20 for alcoholic drinks. Because of this, I really try to avoid buying sodas, and I really try to avoid buying water bottles. $4.50 for a bottle of Dasani really adds up across a trip. Instead, I bring a refillable water bottle, get free ice water at counter service locations, and use electrolyte powder. Disney resort guests can buy a refillable mug for $23, which is good for the length of your stay, but importantly, it doesn't work in the parks, it only works at the resorts. Don't let that cost surprise you. Hidden cost number 11, snacks. And I'm not really talking about iconic snacks like Mickey pretzels, cheeseburger egg rolls, or even popcorn. That's part of the Disney experience. But basic snacks like a small bag of chips that costs over $3 a pop, don't let that eat into your food budget. Remember, you can bring your own food into the parks. And as a parent, this is a must. Having a good supply of crackers, applesauces, and protein bars in my backpack saves me a ton of money across the vacation and saves me from hangar-induced meltdowns. If those meltdowns are the kids or me is a story for another day. Hidden cost number 12, always dining out. Which is kinda unavoidable when you're on vacation, but more avoidable than you think. And it's the easiest way to save hundreds of dollars on your vacation. Let's break down the price. Here are the typical costs for quick service meals, table service meals, and character dining. Plus, all of that goes up if you add sodas or alcohol. So how much should you budget for food? Budgets can go anywhere from $50 to $150 per adult per day and $30 to $60 per kid. Most people will be in the middle. $80 per adult and $40 per child per day is a fairly standard budget. Across 5 days, that's $1,200 for a family of 4. But a very easy way to lower your food budget or make your food budget go further is to lower the number of meals you buy in the parks or the resorts. A grocery run or getting groceries delivered at the beginning of your vacation can save you a ton of money. By the way, Disney charges a few dollars to bring groceries to your room, but you can pick them up at Bell Services yourself and it's free. And Bell Services will even keep cold items refrigerated for a short time. The math here is powerful. For a family of 4, let's say you get $50 of groceries for breakfasts and quick lunches, and that replaces just 5 quick service meals, which can easily cost $50 each. You're saving $200, 16% of that typical food budget. But if you really want to open up your options, stay at a place with a kitchen, because now you can do pizza, pasta, rotisserie chicken, and much more. Now let's say you get $100 of groceries, and that replaces just 3 quick service meals and 2 table service meals. That's $330 saved that you can put towards other things on your vacation. AKA, using groceries for just 5 meals across a week means that now you could afford a character meal. And then some, because you can very easily have that $100 of groceries cover things like snacks, drinks, and coffee to save even more. And there are a lot of options with kitchens across all budgets, like a vacation home, an Airbnb, Staybridge Suites, or a DVC villa, which also gives you those official Disney transportation and parking perks. My family just stayed at Saratoga Springs through my channel partner DVC Rental Store, and having a kitchen with real dishes was so great, and made it much easier to have breakfast and dinner in rather than eating every single meal out. So if you're interested in staying at a DVC villa like this one, you can save up to 65% versus Disney's price by booking through DVC Rental Store. They're my official channel partner, and using the link below helps support Guide to WDW. Now, some of these food costs can be really hidden if you go for Hidden Cost 13, the Disney Dining Plan, and that's by design. With the Disney Dining Plan, resort guests pay upfront for daily credits for table service meals, quick service meals, and snacks, plus a refillable resort mug that's included. Each meal includes a beverage, which can be alcoholic for guests over 21, and table service meals include desserts. This costs $60 to $100 per night per adult and $25 to $32 per night per child. Depending on your plan, details are on screen. Using a bit of algebra, I reverse engineered what you actually pay for the credits. A quick service credit costs $24.69 per adult and $7.36 per child. And a table service credit costs $62.81 per adult and $13.48 per child. So there are cases where you can come out way ahead. At Tusker House with the dining plan, a family of 4 effectively spends $152.58 for a meal that costs $212. Plus, you get beverages, which you don't get a la carte. So the dining plan is a no-brainer steal of a deal, right? Not so fast. At Satu'li Canteen, if you get a tofu bowl with a Coke Zero, with the dining plan, you're now paying $24.69 for a meal that costs $18.28. The very definition of a hidden cost. Whenever I've done the dining plan, I always try to get the best value by ordering way more than what I would normally do, which kind of shows the problem with the dining plan. Because with the dining plan, you are locked into paying basically $25 per quick service meal and $63 per table service meal every single meal. And as I've already shown in this video, it's very easy to spend much less on food. If you should get the dining plan or not really depends, and is a much more complicated question than I have time for in this video. I've already had to bust out algebra to get this far. The Disney dining plan deserves its own analysis, which is coming to my channel soon. So if you want to know how to work the system so the system doesn't work you, get subscribed. But a couple of quick hidden costs to remember about the dining plan. If your kids are 10 and up, you're paying adult prices for them. And with very few exceptions, you still have to pay gratuity for table service, so 18 to 20% of retail value. That's a real hidden cost of your free alcoholic beverage. Speaking of tips, that's hidden cost number 14, because this is the United States and tipping is everywhere. Table service dining is obvious. 18% is standard, but I always tip at least 20% because it's a good thing to do and the math is also easier. But there's lots of other places where tipping is expected. For rideshares, tip 15 to 20% of your fare. For valet, $2 to $5 per retrieval. For a bellhop, it's standard to tip $2 to $3 per bag. Housekeeping, $3 to $5 per night you're staying. And it's helpful to have some cash on hand for those last few. The next two hidden costs have to do with your tickets, and both cost more than just money. Hidden cost number 15, the park hopper ticket. Park hopping can add a considerable amount to your Disney World budget. For a one-day ticket, it adds $62 to $82. For 2 to 3 day tickets, it adds $80 per ticket. And then for 4 days and over, it adds $90 per ticket. $82 per person for just 1 day of park hopping is a really rough deal. For 2 days, that's $40 per person per day. But for 5 days, that's only $18 per day. For 10 days, it's just $9 per day, and a 9 times better deal than a 1-day ticket. So if you're going less than 4 days, I'd strongly consider not getting a park hopper. Not only is it not the best monetary value, but park hopping also costs more time than you think. When you consider transportation and security, park hopping almost always takes 45 minutes to an hour. That's one big hop, and a big chunk of a short trip. Hidden cost number 16, adding extra park days to your ticket. Disney World ticket pricing has a very enticing ladder. Like, going from 2 days to 3 days is pretty expensive. It adds about $145 per ticket, and your per day price is about the same. But going from 5 days to 6 days is actually a lot more reasonable. It's only about $30 per ticket to add that extra day, and then it's just $20 to add another day after that. So your per day price gets better and better as you add more days, which can be really tempting. I've done this before where I think, oh, it's just an extra $30 ticket, that's a great deal. But it's a mistake, because that's $120 for 4 people, which is not nothing. But the bigger hidden cost is the one I mentioned up top that gets most people. Adding extra park days costs you energy. It can make a lot of sense to say, hey, we're going to Disney World, let's spend every day we can in the parks and maximize value. But from personal experience, by day 3 or 4, my family is always worn out and we need a break day. And trust me, powering through that is a bad idea. There have even been trips where we haven't used that extra day on our tickets that I thought was such a great deal that ended up being $120 wasted. If you're going for more than 3 days, build in an off day or 2 from the parks. Not only can that save you hundreds of dollars on your tickets, like for a family of 4, going in 4 days instead of 5 saves you $240. But having an off day gives you time to relax and actually enjoy your resort and the amenities there. And if you're staying off-site, you can get some real value from that resort fee besides the breathable oxygen. So picking fewer days in the parks can not only save you money, but also can be a strategy for having more fun at Disney World. If you want more Disney intelligence for smarter vacations, I send that out every week in my newsletter, link below. And if you found this video valuable, be sure to share it with a friend who's planning their next Disney World vacation. This has been James Grosh from Guide to WDW. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you real soon.